The story.
Side by side, close quarters. There she goes. The crowd roars. She slammed the wall.
The danger.
There's fire coming from the car.
The drama.
Oh, look at that split. Wow.
The IZOD IndyCar Series. From the high banks of Texas Motor Speedway to the season's shortest track, the bull ring racing that is Iowa Speedway.
You know, you're moving every part of your body, and if it's not being moved by you, it's being moved by the forces of, of G-force.
This week, it's the Corn Belt Heartland, where short track open wheel racing defines comfort level.
I mean, just take your road car out on the road and get the tires to squeal and get sideways and feel uncomfortable out there, and that's kind of where we live our lives, really.
It's extreme speed in the Midwest.
It's a battle, and you better be prepared.
Among the cornfields of central Iowa, you'll find Iowa Speedway, located about 35 miles east of Des Moines. We are ready for the Iowa Corn Indy 250 presented by Pioneer. The crowd is ready. We are ready. And Jack, the question is one driver, namely Scott Dixon, is he ready?
Well, according to Mike Hull, who is his top strategist, yes, they are. I want you to brief you on what happened. When they went to fire up the car to check all the systems checks, they saw that the fuel pump was not operating properly. Now, in order to get to the fuel pump, you have to go inside the fuel cell. They went back to Gasoline Alley. They dropped the entire fuel cell, and what they did is, rather than try and fix the fuel pump, they replaced it along with the seals and all the intakes and all the outlets. According to Mike Hull, no need for Dixon or Target fans to worry, Bob.
All right, well, we're just a few minutes away from the few seconds actually away from the command to start engines. The weather is a concern. In fact, there is a flash flood watch out for this area, but later this afternoon, right now, the weather looks good as we are ready to go. And after today's race, of course, the series goes to 5 straight road courses before ending the season on 4 consecutive ovals. Let's go down for the command to start engines.
Iowa Speedway fans, are you ready to go IZOD IndyCar racing? It's time for those 4 most famous words in motorsports to light the fuse on the Iowa Corn Indy 250 presented by Pioneer. Please welcome the chair of the Iowa Corn Promotion Board, Mr. Tim Burrick, and he gives the command.
Drivers, please start those no tar balls, corn ethanol powered engines.
Race control, row 1, hot. 2, hot. 3, hot. 4, hot. 5, hot. 6, hot. 7, hot. 8, hot. 9, hot. 10, hot. 11, hot. 12 and 13, hot.
And that means that all 25 cars have started and will begin momentarily moving away behind the pace car. They will get the green flag the 4th time around. Beautiful scene here at this facility. Well, yesterday in qualifying, Verizon Team Penske driver Will Power won the Peak Pole Award at a 4-lap average of 181.337. His 4th this year, but his very first career pole on an oval. The Peak Pole Award is worth $10,000. All right, here is the lineup now. We'll go through this rather quickly since the race is just about to start. See Scott Dixon there on the outside of row number 1. Marco and Elio Castroneves are in row number 2. This is going to be the largest field to ever take the green flag at this facility. Now, back in 2008, there were 26 cars here, but only 24 took the green flag. So 25 today will be the largest field to start a race here at Iowa Speedway.
TK, we're looking there inside row 8. We saw from him having plenty of speed in practice. He didn't have it quite in qualifying, but he's going to have a good race car.
And there's the peak tread cam. Now that is going to provide some very, very exciting moments in our coverage. It's located actually in the racetrack in corner number 1. So the cars will be moving right over it as we go through. Onboard cameras will be carried by Tony Kanaan, hoping to break his string of bad luck at this racetrack. Ryan Hunter-Ray, who is currently 6th in points, the winner at Long Beach earlier this year. Justin Wilson, twice a runner-up this year, both on the street courses. Dan Weldon in the National Guard car will have an onboard camera. He's a former winner here and has had 4 top 10s this year. Danica Patrick in the GoDaddy.com car, her best finish in Texas 2 weeks ago since her victory in Japan in 08. And Scott Dixon, who's never finished outside the top 10 here in the 3 previous races. And there is Will Power, who'll set the pace for today's event.
Here in the Eyes Out Performance Pit Center, I want to show you one of the major strategic moves everybody's going to be concerned with. This is the radar, and here is the Iowa Speedway. You notice the stray parts of green? Well, there doesn't seem to be any concern there. What's interesting is there usually is an early caution here. We're going to have to watch that as well. As we take a look at the averages, well, they're kind of interesting, guys, and they make for at least a 3-stop race. Stay tuned.
Next time by, they'll get the green flag. At the tail of the field is Milka Duno. If you were with us for qualifying yesterday, you saw her crash in turn number 2. The car has been repaired. She's at the tail of the field, and 25 cars are set to go. 250 laps of racing here this afternoon in the heartland, Iowa. Off of corner number 4, and the green flag presented by Apex Brazil. Experience our energy. We're underway.
Right away, you got to watch the bump in turn number 1. And look at Dixon go to the high side.
Dixon still up on top. And we have a yellow as Justin Wilson is involved in a crash.
Mario Marias.
Yep. Well, you never like that. I mean, the whole MO is you want to get through the first lap. That's a challenge. So hate to see that, obviously, for Justin in the charter car and Marias as well.
Well, he crashed here last year, and he has crashed again, talking about Justin Wilson. And there's Mario Marias. We know what happened to him at Texas just 2 weeks ago. He and Elio Castroneves got together on the racetrack. Larry Curry from Dreyer and Reinbold Racing. Well, we certainly didn't go very far, did we, guys?
No, and Jan, you just had made the point. You want to get through turns 1 and 2 because we know there's the bump there in between them that sets off the car. It's not over in 3 and 4. This happened over in 3 and 4.
Yep. Now let's take a look at what happened.
So Justin is low. And
it just lost it.
Yeah. He just lost it on his own. It almost looked like he was trying to pinch the car down.
Poor Mario Marias.
To stay low. You know, Justin was just trying to pinch the car down just to keep it on that lower groove. And when he added that little extra bit of steering, the rear just came around. Marias, nowhere to go.
Wow.
Marias was a victim of circumstances. That crash was in no way his fault, as Justin got into him pretty good and then put him into the wall. So we are cautioned for the first time here. It happened on the first lap in turns 3 and 4, and there as the onboard. Listen for the impact. Ooh, wow.
That puts you in the seat.
Both drivers out of their cars, apparently okay.
You want to be in. Gosh.
Back in a moment on Versus.
to the Iowa Corn 250 at Iowa Speedway, where cleanup continues on lap 10 after a first lap incident between Justin Wilson and Mario Moraes, who's here with us now. And Mario, clearly that was not your fault. What did you see happen?
Well, you know, after the car felt pretty good, you know, I could take one place on the start, and I feel so sorry for my team. The guys did a great job this weekend, and it's something that you can do nothing, you know, is just try to avoid the contact. It's the second time with me. Last year was with Matos. Now with Justin, I feel so bad for them.
3 races in a row, you have had incidents, 5 DNFs. How do you keep your head in this game?
Well, you know, you need to think cold, you know, you need to just take to the next race.
Mario, thank you. Bob, back to you.
And the green flag comes out. We are back to racing. Scott Dixon was challenged. Oh, look at this, 3 wide into turn 1.
And you saw a brief graphic of the overtake assist, and there are a whole host of people that are all over the button right now to get some extra horsepower to make a move.
And that's exactly what the crew for Will Power told their driver, because Scott Dixon used one on the start as we get ready to go to the tread jam. And so Will Power, with a big tread jam showed you the way these cars have got the grip, Will Power used the button that time on that restart.
Isn't that cool?
Going right. I mean, that's at what, probably 181, 182 miles an hour right across that tread cam.
And that's Ryan Hunter-Reay on the high side. That's got the green colors of Ethanol USA. They've added to that IZOD machine. Now Kanaan on the outside looking at Briscoe.
And right in front of Kanaan is Ryan Hunter-Reay. These 2 guys are teammates driving for Andretti Autosport. Oh, there.
Just got by him.
By him on the outside, or went by him on the inside. But both these guys weren't happy with their qualifying, that being TK and Ryan Hunter-Reay. But they had very good race cars. And when we get on board with them, we'll see it.
Marco has taken 2nd position from Scott Dixon. And now Marco sets his sights on the leader, Will Power.
Well, we heard from him at the top of the show. He's got a little extra pressure to bring home a little Father's Day gift since he didn't have anything else for his dad, Michael. So that's some good incentive.
This is the 7th race, by the way, that Will Power has led this season. The only race that he has not led was on the 1.5 mile at Kansas Speedway. And look at Marco looking to the inside, but finding no room there. Now he looks to the outside. Robbie Floyd.
Well, Marco told me yesterday he wants that car in front. He said he had a good pulled car, so I think he's trying to get out in front of Will Power early because I think he can pull away. Nobody wants to be behind, and you see the aggressiveness out of Marco Andretti already. The same thing he said he wanted to do yesterday.
I think we are very close to seeing a Marco Andretti win this year. I really do. He's run very, very well recently, and now challenges for the lead.
And he's had a very good race car really all year. When I'm thinking back to Brilson's AP, looking to the high side, and again, why you see him looking to the high side and people that are going to go to the high side is you have all that, look at him, bob and weave. You have all that downforce in the race car, that big number that puts that big load through the steering wheel for these guys, but it really sticks that car on multiple grooves.
Coming up on the 18 of Milka Duno to put her a lap down here on the 22nd lap. Marco!
Oh, look out!
Man. Wow. Good heads-up stuff there by Marco. It almost, I think there's probably contact between Power and Milka. She went up the track right in front of Marco.
And that had caused Marco to lose momentum. He's dropped back to 3rd as Dixon has taken 2nd once again. And here comes Franchitti and Elio Castroneves. And side by side, Ryan Briscoe and Alex Tagliani.
How was there not a crash?
Yeah,
that
really.
One? Wow, that was some awesome driving with 3 cars in a spot where there was really room for 2.
Danica Patrick's running 12th.
Looking up there at Tagliani on the right in front of her.
Let's take a look at that again. They come up on Milka Duno.
Oh, wow. Marco Andretti did a fantastic job in not getting into Milka. And Milka shouldn't have been surprised. Should have had plenty of time to know the leaders were coming, but looked like it was a complete shock.
And it was a surprise reaction. I don't think her and Will touched, but the surprise reaction is what put her up in front of Marco so quick, that jerk back up the track.
Tagliani and E.J. Viso are racing with each other. Vitor Mirror running in 15th position. So it's still Will Power leading over Dixon, Andretti, Franchitti, and Castro Neves at Iowa Speedway. '29th of 29 of 250 laps completed here at the Iowa Speedway. And Will Power has led all the way so far for Verizon Team Penske. Running in second spot is Marco Andretti, then Dixon, Franchitti, and Castro Neves.
And Power goes by Milka Duno again. Now, Brian Barnard has told the drivers, if you're not within 1 second of the leader's pace, he's going to pull you off the course. She right now is off of that mark.
And here's a battle for third.
And Dario's got it over Dixon. We're on board with Dixon. Yep. That's Dario up in front, so he got that spot kind of in that whole checking up process of back markers.
That only took 9 laps
yeah.
to lap her again. That's a safety issue. I think you've got to take her off.
It is, and what happens when you start getting lapped by all these guys? You get out of the groove, and you lose your momentum, and then they're just back on top of you, like you say, and 9 laps this time.
Firestone telemetry up in the upper right.
There he's going over the tread cam at 179.
There's a little
bump. But check the move ahead. Whoa!
You see the wiggle.
There was a wiggle.
Big wiggle from Power. That's Power with the Verizon on his rear wing.
Yeah,
that was the wiggle.
He's lost it.
Yep.
What a nice move on the high side.
Marco Andretti takes the lead.
Now, can Marco check out with a little bit of clean air in front of him? But remember, he's going to be coming up on back markers right away. Yep. So everybody has to have a car that handles well in traffic. Dixon tries to sneak by Muto, who we know has been struggling.
Boy, yeah, Hideki has a great record here, finished second and third, but he had a horrible qualifying effort, and the car apparently is not running much better today.
We answered a question here, and people suggested that maybe Will Power would start the race with not a lot of downforce, and as soon as he got in traffic, look at him fall back to Takuma Sato now on the high side.
Yeah, Sato
and by him. High side and by him. So you're right. I mean, that aero balance and how much downforce you have in the car, that could be playing a big factor already on.
Down to Lindy Thaxton.
Justin Wilson, most importantly, you're in the medical center a little bit longer than Marias. Are you okay?
Yeah, I just bruised my foot, but I'm okay, so just disappointed. I thought we had a good car today. I thought the charter car could be running at the front, but you know, it's not the way I wanted today to work out. Feel sorry for Mario and his guys as well as everyone at Driving Reinbold Racing, because it's a shame to go out on the first lap.
So you say simply the car just felt too loose?
Yeah, 1 and 2 felt great. Went into 3, everything was good, but you know, I got halfway through 3 and the back started to come round. I started to get out of the throttle, but it was too late. The momentum took over, so yeah, this is how it is.
Justin, thank you. And of course, Watkins Glen is next, Bob, where Justin won last year.
Exactly. Well, Marco Andretti stretches out the advantage just a little bit over Dario Franchitti now. And here is how Marco got the lead. It's tough to keep up with everything that's going on the racetrack, but here's how Marco got around Will Power.
And Power had to do a big checkup behind Muto. We didn't see that earlier, but he really had to dump the throttle. And you see what a big deal that is when you have to dump the throttle and you lose that momentum. He just got railroaded.
About a half a second advantage over Dario right now, with Dixon, Elio Castroneves, and Takuma Sato the top 5. This is the 4th race that Marco has led this year. He led 58 of 90 laps at Alabama. You saw him versus nonstop. Another lead change as Dario Franchitti has now taken the lead. Scott Dixon has moved to second, and Marco Andretti, who was leading just a few seconds ago, he is back to make that 4th position as Castroneves now moves to 3rd. And you did not see this on nonstop because it happened behind the leaders, but look at Will Power and Bertrand Baguette. And by the way, Will Powers, we have another caution on the racetrack. Here's the contact between Power and Baguette headed down into turn number 1.
Great save by Baguette. I mean, look at that. It really lifted up the rear of his car, and he got sawn on the wheel. So nice save by him.
Will Powers dropped to 9th position after leading the first 32 laps of the race.
Well, what we saw from Power at the beginning of the race when he talked to Jack, I think it was, he said, we're going to put on a bunch of downforce.
He said, I won't tell you how much.
Relative to everybody else. Exactly.
Correct.
So what is a bunch of downforce? Maybe not enough.
Not enough at this point.
By the way, Milka Duno has been flagged off the racetrack, so she is out of the race. And Bertrand Baguette, that we saw just a few minutes ago in the incident with Will Power, he pitted a while ago and lost 3 laps. So we are under caution now for the second time. And here again is the Pete Treadcam duck.
And that would be at about probably 65, 70 miles an hour versus the 181 to 3 miles an hour we are looking at.
Well, it's time for pit stops, huh?
Absolutely. You want to pit anytime there's a caution. If you don't, you lose nearly 2 laps. So this is a window of opportunity for certain.
Stay on the right side when you come in. You may have some quick stops here.
And that's because the car is not completely empty on fuel. So this will be quick stops. That's why you don't need all 22 gallons.
First, second, and third from top to bottom.
So the pressure is back on the tire changes now. It's not on those fuelers.
3, 2, 1.
Castro Neves, little trouble on right rear. Oh, there's some contact.
No. That was Kanan into Elio that went into Dixon.
Wow.
And I think that was enough of a hit on Dixon that it could have tweaked his right front.
There could be some damage.
Excuse me, that was Franchitti, not Dixon, because Franchitti was in the first box. No, okay.
Dixon, Castro Neves, we saw that he had a little bit of a delay, and so when he swung out, as you said originally,
Dixon.
Okay, see, Franchitti gets away fine.
He's away. There you go.
And then he swings out and
watch his right front.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's enough to tweak his right front. That contact to the left rear of Elio.
He's trying to shoot the gap. Now he saw Kanan coming, but then when he tightened up, that gave Dixon no place to go. Oh, great angle here. Look.
Yeah.
Well, the great news, Robbie, is that the contact looked like it was with the bodywork and not the wheel.
Well, he
might be all right.
But he went over that wheel, so I think that's okay. Nothing on TK's car.
Action on the racetrack, action exiting pit lane. We're at the Iowa Speedway for the Iowa Corn Indy 250.
Elio Castroneves loses a spot in the pits. More importantly, Tim, is he fighting anything? How's the car?
It was a little loose there to start the stint, but you know, I think he fought it pretty well. That pit stop, unfortunately, I told him that Tony was on his right, and he probably got bumped by Tony and then went into Scott. And we're not 100% sure about the steering, so take a little bit of a chance here. But, you know, Elio's been in this position before, and see what happens.
He's saying anything at all to you?
Yeah, he's saying the steering's off by a little bit, but, you know, not any more than we've had in the past. So hopefully it's okay.
Thanks a lot, Tim. Lindy Thaxton?
Graham Rahal is having radio issues. He did not hear his team tell him to come in. That is why he is in the #1 spot right now. So, guys, obviously they are hoping for a yellow here very soon.
Well, Lindy, that could pay. I mean, he may not have wanted that strategy, but as you say, if he catches another yellow, this would be a great track position move, but he'll need yellow for this to pay.
Alex Lloyd running second. However, we understand that he will have to observe a drive-through penalty, so he will drop from second position. How about Tony Kanaan? He is up to 4th place.
Well, I don't think any of us should be surprised to see TK on an oval. If he's got a good race car, no matter where he's starting, you just give him a handful of laps or, you know, 60 plus in this case, and he's got himself up in the top 3.
Sure does.
And that's why Robbie picked him. Good job, Robbie.
Let's go green once again. Apex Brazil restart green flag comes out. Look at the movement back of Kanaan.
That'd be Castro Neves, who doesn't know about his steering, and he already is trying to go by Tony.
Well, that's what I say. Pretty aggressive for him getting all after it there. Really kind of question that.
Alex Lloyd didn't serve that penalty, or they changed their mind because he's still right there behind Rahal. And look at the wiggle that.
Fixing your mirror. Looking inside. Clear. Looking.
The spotters will talk to you almost all the way around here.
And remember, the spotters are just information. You're still the guy driving. There's his penalty, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, because the drive-through would be under green, and on the inside comes Dixon.
And Lloyd, just make note, Lloyd's probably going to lose up to close to 2 laps now serving that penalty under green here with getting around here in 17, 18-second laps.
That makes sense. The drive-through is always done under green.
Ryan Hunter-Ray is also in the mix here. He's running 5th, and he's here because of some sponsorship money from Ethanol USA and Izod. And look at Takuma Sato. He's running 6th.
Absolutely. You know, ovals were the first thing for...
There goes the lead.
Yep.
There it goes, Franchitti diving down in. I was just going to say, Sato, oval, new to the ovals. Look at the onboard stuff looking around there. How about that?
You know, one of the reasons why this is a 2-group racetrack is because of the parabolic banking. It's 12 degrees at the bottom, and it goes up to 14 degrees at the top.
Now, Graham Rahal, unfortunately, you can see him just on the left there as we have a battle for the lead. When you lose momentum and you get in dirty air, it gets to be a big handful.
Scott Dixon wants the lead.
And you get guys passing you and losing your momentum and having to dump any throttle, man, you can swap 3 or 4 spots.
Now, Bob's pick is leading.
That's right.
Good job, Bob.
Ryan Hunter-Ray working hard on the inside of Graham there in the dad's car for that spot now. Riding on board with him.
Dixon.
And guys, here's what I project for Graham Rahal. He has until about a lap 87, and then he will be forced onto pit road. So right now, he would give his kingdom for another caution.
Awesome shots.
Really.
This tread cam does not, it stays in one position. It's only a 1/4 inch high is the tread cam.
Yep.
Awesome.
Top 3 cars running very, very close together on the racetrack. They're separated by a half a second, less than a half a second.
Is TK going to just sit back there and kind of size these guys up right now, or is he going to want to get to the front? And from watching on board there, he's going to keep challenging Franchitti to see what he's got.
Well, that represents our 3 picks right in a row. So Bob's leading. I'm second. You're third, Robbie. Not bad.
Still early going.
I know.
Early going.
Not bad, though.
We've already had 5 leaders and 5 lead changes in the first 71 laps of this race.
These teammates are leaning on each other.
Yeah, they are. And
Here comes Dario.
Scott Dixon's car is okay.
And if anybody, Dixon was the guy that we were maybe concerned with on that contact they had coming out pit road with his left front, but no issues.
Yep.
The first time that Graham Rahal had the air taken off, it looked like he really struggled, but now he's getting in the groove of running that traffic.
And Sato got by him for the 5th spot, so that's as solid of a drive as we've seen for Sato being new to those ovals.
Dario had a notion.
Clear right there, clear.
Robbie Floyd on pit lane.
Well, Tony Kanon's moved from 15th place up to 3rd. Is he playing a watching game right now, Tom? Does he want to pass those guys, or he's taking it easy?
No, we got a long way to go, so we'll just sit tight. Car's good, plenty of downforce. We want a lot of green.
What have you been telling him on the radio, or more importantly, what has he been telling you how the car is?
Yeah, no, he said no changes at the stop, so we're good.
And that's a good thing. A great thing, guys.
Boy, these Target Chip Ganassi guys are going at it, aren't they? Wow.
They are beating him up. And when you heard Tom Anderson say, hey, we want a lot of green, what that means is they feel TK's car is better the longer he runs. So they want long runs. They don't want a lot of yellows.
Dixon, Franchitti, and Kanon running very, very close together on the racetrack. We are at the Iowa Corn Indy 250 presented by Pioneer. We'll be right back. Scott Dixon is up front here at the Iowa Speedway. This is only the 4th race that Scott has led this season, and the first time that he has led since Kansas, when he was in front by 167 laps. But his teammate Dario Franchitti is right on the rear wing.
As close as Dario is running and keeps staying there, and that looked like Baguette may have rubbed the wall. He certainly was way out of the groove. No caution at this point, so he must not have touched.
And that was up in turn 4, coming off of 4. And we know once you get high in that groove, you get in those marbles.
There goes Dario.
Dario goes by.
Oh, he's using traffic. He goes to the high side of Simona.
That would be a pick.
Nice. Did all that without overtake assists.
TK going by Simona as well. So it was Simona that set that all off for that lead change for Dario to go to the front.
Here's Baguette. Yep.
Oh, yeah, he's up against the wall there a little bit. Just a little white.
But were there new tire marks? Because there was already tire marks there.
Looks like they're going to replace the front wing. Meanwhile, on the racetrack, it's Dario back in front. Now, Ryan Briscoe is back in 13th position. And he's about 10 seconds behind the leader, so...
Well, what that's maybe saying is he's kind of going with the same setup as Will Power, which we think is light on downforce, and he's just struggling to stay in traffic and keep momentum around this racetrack.
He's 13th, and Will Power is 11th at the moment.
Graham Rahal's team has laid out to make the pit stop that Jack Arute was talking about, so unless it happens right away, he's not going to catch that yellow he was looking for.
Again, to point out that under green conditions, I hate to say it, but you're going to give up close to 2 laps. You're knocking on the door right at being at 2 laps.
Let's see what Lindy Thaxton is up to.
Well, I have Tim Burek, who is chairman of the promotion board here, and I know it's loud, so I'll lean into you, but I bet you are glad this is finally here, huh?
Oh, they've been waiting for this for a long time. We're worried about the rain. We're standing here in front of the ethanol car. The ethanol car is going around. What a great time. It's all about ethanol. It's about corn. It's about racing. It's about renewable energy, or sustainable energy, environmentally friendly energy. That's ethanol. That's why we're here today.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, it's a great time.
And Graham Rahal is pulled into his pit box, and obviously, guys, he is off strategy now because of that radio issue, and they need a lot of luck here to get back on track.
Okay, now we got Dario coming up on this lap traffic as well as Dixon. Can Dixon close in a little bit here?
Sarah Fisher and Alex Lloyd.
There's Dixon closing in on him, taking that.
Whoa, I was just going to say that as soon as Sarah Fisher got a little bit outside into the gray, you could just see her had to come right out of the throttle.
That was a situation in which she was trying her best to get out of the way and got out of the groove and into the wall.
I thought she'd got out of it enough. It almost like she got in the gray and it looked like the whole thing was going to make it fine. And then once you get up, you can see all these little bits of rubber there. And that is very, very slick.
But, dude, sometimes just when you get up there and you dump the throttle, you think it would make it turn.
You know what Graham Rahal's thinking right now? Oh, I missed it by 2 laps.
Yeah, right.
Just pitted. He and Hideki Muto just hit pit lane.
I hadn't thought about that, Jan.
Sorry,
but you're right. But they pushed that window as much as they could. It was lap 9. I mean,
you got to do it.
They went further than what we thought Jack Arute said they would at about 86, 87 earlier. So
Sarah Fisher's only race here was in 2007. She went from 18th to 7th that year, but unfortunately, she's in the wall, and here's a replay.
See, at this point, she's way out of it, realizing that she got out of the groove, thought it was fine, but as the moment that you cross into the gray, Robbie, it was just like ice. Here she looks good.
You're okay. She's just in the high line right there, but then the car must have pushed.
Yeah.
The car must have washed up, and then as soon as it gets just out of that black, and you pick up any of those marbles, you could see that she was going to the brake pedal to try and stop it, but you literally are just, you're on ice.
Sarah walking away from the crash. As an owner-driver, she is, of course, unhappy that her car suffered damage, but we certainly are glad to see that Sarah is okay.
they have talked about anytime they have a caution like this, they're going to take the time to sweep and make sure that high line. But here's the important part. We saw position changes last time on the pits. Again, the whole group will pit under caution.
This is lap number 98.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And if we get any excitement like we saw them racing for the line last time. Whew.
TK's away. Ooh, good pit stop for
Frankini's out.
Dixon. Castro Nevis moves up 1.
Takes advantage of Sato. Power went up 2. Same Briscoe, 3.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Well, that was a lot calmer.
Yes, it was.
leaving there and
that was a great explanation, though, by Tim Cindric earlier, saying that he had warned Elio that up on the outside was coming Kanaan, and that's why he kind of made that quick. He pulled it down, but unfortunately, that's when he rubbed against Dixon. Thankfully, they're all still running.
Jack Arute in the IZOD Performance Pit Center.
All right, guys, so we talk about the marbles and what happened to Sarah Fisher. Basically what happens, I brought this cheese. When the tires, the Firestone tires, they don't wear out, but you end up getting bits and pieces of rubber out on the racetrack. So what I figured we would do is show you by taking some marbles, throwing them out here on the floor. This is basically what's going to happen. When you get outside of the groove, try to walk through these and maintain control.
Oh.
Back to you.
You were so close, Jack. Doggone it.
What are you going to do now, Jack? You better get those cleaned up or we're going to lose you for the rest of the show.
You look a little better than you did in Texas with the bowling balls on the side of your head. Fans old and young here today on Father's Day at Iowa Speedway. While we have the opportunity, we want to first of all, as we are in a caution period for the Iowa Corn Indy 250, we want to send our best wishes to Olivia Andretti, the daughter of John and Nancy. Had surgery earlier this week, and we hope for a very speedy recovery to Olivia. And also, we want to extend sympathies to the families of Wayne Leary, Coach Les Richter, and Newton Wolf. Now, Newton was very instrumental in having this speedway built, and he loved helping develop the tread cam that you are seeing here today. So our sympathies to those 3 families, and a very, very get well soon wish to Olivia Andretti. Well, Dario is the leader of this race, with Scott Dixon running in 2nd position. And Lindy is with Sarah Fisher.
And this is Sarah's 80th start in the IZOD IndyCar Series. Obviously not the way you wanted to finish. Did something go wrong with the car, or did you just get caught up in the marbles?
No, when you're running too wide here, there's just not a whole lot of room. So when there's a little bit of lack of grace there, there's nothing really you can do. I almost had it collected, but, you know, the Dollar General car just couldn't run in the marbles today, so.
And you were here in 07, but this is the first year for Sarah Fisher racing your own team to be here. But you actually raced pretty close to here growing up.
I did. Knoxville Nationals is right around the corner, and it's their 50th anniversary. So it's an off weekend. Maybe I'll come back to it, but gotta love those sprint car short track nights.
And clearly you're okay, right?
Yeah, so, you know, not such a good Father's Day. Sorry, Dad, but, you know, hey, whatever. We had a pretty fast race car, and the boys worked really hard this weekend, so I'm real proud of their effort.
Well, thank you, Sarah. And speaking of Father's Day, on the Sarah Fisher racing team, you have Andy O'Gara and Johnny O'Gara. Andy is Sarah's husband there, and Johnny is the father-in-law of Sarah. He's the strategist.
It's a family affair, isn't it? There's Simona Di Silvestro. She's a lap down in 17th position. Let's see what happened on her pit stop.
Air jack, obviously keeping the car up until they're in position, but unfortunately the air jack didn't release. It let the car down, but the actual receptacle didn't come off. So similar to the fuel probe we talked about, don't often see that with an air jack.
Yeah, but that's the signal when the car hits the ground is for the driver to go as well, but it hit the ground, he couldn't pull it out.
Simona's back in the race. We have 15 cars on the lead lap here as we near the halfway point. Chip Ganassi's drivers are running 1-2, Franchitti and Dixon. We'll be right back. The Target Chip Ganassi guys are battling it out up front. Dario Franchitti and Scott Dixon. Dixon has led 18 laps so far, but Dario is the man at the front right now, and he has led 36 of the 109 laps that we have completed so far. There he is. And look at the green shirts. Those are Iowa corn growers, and we are delighted to have them here to watch their race. They have a big tent out in turns 1 and 2, some of them in the grandstand. In any case, thank you for your hospitality here at Iowa Speedway and for growing the things that we all like to eat.
It's all about the corn.
That's right. The Ganassi cars have led 48.3% of the total laps completed this season. That's a pretty staggering statistic, isn't it?
You can flex your muscle on that one.
But TK, Tony Kanaan, is lurking in 3rd position. Just have the feeling that he may be just waiting. There is the Andretti Autosport team and where they are running. Kanaan and Hunter Ray are 3rd and 4th, and back a little ways, Marco and Danica.
And if you remember, guys, when we talked about Kanaan and Hunter Ray earlier, what just made comment to saying when we watched from their onboards during practice, we said, boy, they're
one to go at the line.
One
down to Lindy.
During Simona Di Silvestro's pit stop, there was an injury to Brent Snyder, her right rear tire changer. He hurt his ankle. He has been taken away. You can see ice and a wrap on it there. She came back in and topped off fuel, and now she has been given a drive-through penalty under green for hitting that crew member, Bob.
Okay.
It's just not penalty enough for hurting your own guy.
Yeah,
they bring you back in and zap you again.
Getting set to go back to green flag racing. It's Franchitti, Dixon, Kanaan, Hunter Ray, and Castro Neves, the top 5.
What a move by Dixon on the low side.
Yeah.
Wow.
Driving down in there hard.
But here comes Dario. He's got that momentum on the top side.
Those guys don't look like teammates, do they? Dixon is going to hang on to the lead.
Wow.
And that makes our 7th lead change.
I was almost going to say that you want to be leading here on this length of a racetrack, whereas most big ovals you want to be second on a restart. But wow, Scott Dixon showed me wrong there.
Now, it was an interesting technique that Scott Dixon used when they gave the 1 to go. He got down in the 2nd gear as his teammate Dario Franchitti did, but he used more throttle and he held on to the brake. As soon as they got to the go zone and the green flag flew, he got that 10 seconds of extra overtake, and that's what gave him the momentum to get by and into the lead.
Wow. Thanks, Jack. That's very interesting. But Dario's who's been running high, now is running low. And that, I think, is the place to be.
And for both of these guys to look down low and keep the car down there, the cars must be turning really well. Anytime you run that tighter radius down low, to stay down there and run flat. Whoa! Wow. Man, just up across his nose. Pretty well handling race cars right here, guys.
Hey guys, you talked about the car must be turning. They did no changes on that last stop. Tony Kanaan, another guy who's been happy with his race car all day. We're from 15th place up to 7th. Now he's in 3rd. No changes that last time around. And they told him you still had 21 overtakes at that last stop.
Wow, Dixon has now lost 3 spots.
Well, Dixon had to get out of the throttle there one time when he was behind Kanaan. And there goes Ryan Hunter-Reay just by him on the outside. But we know Dixon's going to look outside, look inside, come back. Look at TK.
On the low side.
He hasn't led yet.
Whoa. Still hasn't.
Nope.
And he's using the overtake, guys. He's using the overtake. It really helps on a short track. This is the first time that the Indy Racing League has used the overtake, and it catapults the 7-Eleven car, Tony Kanaan, into the lead.
And he's got his teammate, Ryan Hunter-Reay, in that ethanol car, wants to ride that momentum by Dario as well.
And Kanaan still has 1 more overtake than does Franchitti. So he's made himself to the lead, and now Dixon on the low side.
Ryan Hunter-Reay and Scott Dixon battle for 3rd.
That tucks him back behind him.
that is a preview that the overtake assist is going to do exactly that. And you want to save it to the end unless you need track position. Always has the lift. He thought about it,
and that's just what you're saying is anytime you get to the low side of this racetrack, that front of the car's really got to turn for you. And if it doesn't turn and starts going up the racetrack, you got to get out of the throttle. Just what happened to Dixon.
And Dario's gotten back to the high side. Going after Kanaan.
This is the first time Kanaan has led since Chicagoland last year.
This is also the first time that they have the new aero configuration that was introduced at Kentucky last year that now you see for the very first time on the short oval. And that combination, and I think the fact that you've got kind of filtered sun today and that they swept the high groove. Remember, we had a long caution and they swept all the marbles off that Jackaroo was telling us about. Now they got 2 grooves to race on.
We are at the halfway point. 125 laps completed and 125 to go. And these guys are certainly entertaining the fans who have come to Iowa Speedway today and those of you watching on Versus.
And every bit of that 2 grooves, and Jan, as you were saying about the aero changes that we made from Kentucky last year, is you had those little wickers that were on the side of the end plates there early, and it made for dirty air. But now the way these guys are looking to the right and to the left and diving, you know, inside, outside, it really has allowed them to do that, where before it created dirty air and they couldn't do that so aggressively.
So there is the battle between Kanaan and Franchitti, and right behind are Hunter Ray, Dixon, and Castro Neves, the top 5 at the Iowa Corn Indy 250. We still have a torrid battle up front for the lead. Tony Kanaan and Dario Franchitti are wheel to wheel. Our Iowa Corn Indy 250 race recap shows that Tony has led 13 laps. We've had 3 cautions and 6 leaders, 9 lead changes, the record for the most lead changes. 13, that happened in 2007, and at the halfway point, we are at 9 lead changes, and Hideki Muto is in pit lane. That team has been struggling big time all weekend.
There's a big run. There's a big run. And he's got that done. Did you see all the momentum he carried on the start-finish there? And just, but he drove it down in low there. Again, to drive in there to turn 1 like that, you got to have confidence that the car's going to stay down there when you drive down in versus come on up and take yourself and Kanaan out of the race.
Look at Sato.
Sato has moved up to 5th position. He passed Elio a few seconds ago, and Takuma Sato is having his best race of the year.
And keeping in mind, ovals were a whole new game to him this year, and then the short oval, this is brand new to him.
Great run, Lindy.
Yeah, guys, Takuma had never even seen this place until Friday afternoon. His highest oval start is here, and everyone around him says that he is just such a stud here. In fact, him and his teammates E.J. Vizo and Mario Marias watched our Versus qualifying show over and over last night to study the lines of the other drivers. You're watching a battle for 2nd place right now. Speaking of his teammate E.J. Vizo, he started 19th, is up to 7th, one of the biggest movers here today. Although he may not start high up on these short overs, he and his engineer Bill Pappas just always seem to have a good short oval strategy.
There is E.J. Vizo running in 7th spot behind Elio Castro Neves and ahead of Will Power, the pole sitter for this race, who has not been a contender since the first 30-some laps.
Yeah, he jumped out to lead in that clean air, but anytime we got it, as soon as we started getting into traffic, just got challenged with that dirty air and is fighting to stay up in the top 10.
Scott Dixon was battling Tony Kanaan there for 2nd place for a lap or 2, and now he's dropped back just a little bit. As the leader comes up on some of the slower traffic, that's Bertrand Baguette.
This is where you got to be so careful.
Simona Di Silvestro comes in for another pit stop.
Here TK just kind of breathe off the throttle there as they're going by some slower cars.
It's Roman Cini.
Roman Cini, yeah.
is Dan Weldon and Vitor Meira. They run in 9th and 10th. Dan Weldon, a former winner here. We're on board with him in the National Guard car.
Looking back at Vitor Meira in the ABC car for Foyt, and we saw.
Well, he had to lift, he had to go down a gear, so here comes Meira.
Nope, all that momentum got taken away just there. But we heard Meira after he crashed. He said, AJ, I got a good car. And he does have a good car, and now he's got that pass done.
And remember, Vitor crashed in practice yesterday before qualifying.
Clear.
There comes Briscoe, and a move for the lead.
Oh, yeah.
Kanon coming back after Dario.
And this has been a great race so far.
And these first 3-4 cars, you could put them, they seem very even in performance. I mean, Hunter Ray is kind of hanging on there, but these first 3, at any moment, they seem all of a sudden to show muscle.
No question about it. What's been really good to see is that bump that we thought was going to be more of a concern between 1 and 2 has not been an issue for these guys, how they're racing through their side-by-side.
Simona Di Silvestro has climbed out of her car. She is out of the race. That gives us 5 cars out. And Lindy is with Simona.
Simona, obviously you're out for a reason. Does this all stem from what happened in the pit lane with Brett?
Yeah, you know, we did a long stint on the tires, and we run the tires down a lot, and I turned into the pits and I had no grip. So, you know, I feel really sorry for the guys because, you know, I came in a little hot and missed my pit box. So it's a shame, and since then we're having a problem with the car. You know, it's suddenly on the steers and over the bump. It's really loose. So, you know, we're gonna go check it, and I think we can learn a lot from this weekend, but we'll see what happens.
This is your first experience on a track like this. What'd you think out there?
You know, it's pretty crazy, especially where we started. You know, you have to move forward, and it was pretty hard to pass. But, you know, we're kind of being there. It's a fun track, you know. I think if we come here next year, we're going to be better for sure.
Simona, thank you. And Bob, Michael Candidate said after what happened in Texas 2 weeks ago and having issues with the car, they just didn't want to risk it and just wanted to park it.
And that's only her second DNF this season. Simona Di Silvestro has really shown a good talent winning the Rookie of the Year honors at the Indianapolis 500 this year. Danica Patrick, she's running 13th. Simona, Fisher, and Duno, the other females in the race, are all out of competition. So Danica carrying the colors. Tony Kanaan leads by about a half a second over Dario Franchitti, Dixon, Hunter Ray, and Sato, the top 5.
Welcome back to the Iowa Corn Indy 250 as we take a look at the lead with Tony Khan just ahead of Dario Franchitti. But pretty much the story most of the race, but an early race leader. The 26th Venom Racing car of Marco Andretti. He was up front early, but he's been suffering with the loose race car. And when they came in just a moment ago, they didn't take 1, 2, or 3 turns of front wing. They went for 4, guys. He just shook his head, pointed, and said, it's got to come down.
Yeah, and that green pit stop cost him 3 laps, so he's back in 17th, 3 laps down. Kanaan and Franchitti continue to battle at the front.
And when we initially saw Marco kind of going backwards on the racetrack, Jan and I looked at each other that we thought maybe even had a mechanical or something. He was slowing at such a dramatic pace versus just having a loose race car. So it's that big of a moment for him.
And Dario had a bit of a moment just then. He got high looking at Kanaan and had to get out of it just a little. But even with that, you can see how much more clear from the tread cam that they have cleared the marbles, but you can see them on occasion. They just peel right off.
Yep.
Yeah, we wouldn't want Jack up there on the side of the bank trying to roll down on that, would we?
But significantly less than there were after sweeping, and that's why we see this great side-by-side.
Wow.
Sato's after another spot.
Sato takes 4th. Takuma Sato up to 4th place in the Lotus-sponsored car for KB Racing Technology.
He has Dixon in his sights.
This is 3rd, 4th, and 5th right here.
Well, it is great to see those Lotus colors back here, and that all ties back to kind of a marketing effort with the Lotus cars being sold back here in the U.S., and they want to get that message. Woo!
There he comes.
And you heard the lift that set that off.
Traffic
coming up on Alex. Alex is 2 laps down in 15.
So, you know, as a driver of TK leading this, he's like, hey, I got to be aggressive going through traffic to try and get myself, but not where I'm stupid and compromise hurting my race car as well. So it's kind of a toss-up where you go here.
Race drivers don't ever do anything stupid, do they, Robbie?
No, never's happened. Never's happened.
Never seems stupid until afterwards.
I mean, how can you be? I mean, all the tips we've gotten from Jan and keeping our protractors and tractors and this and that.
Look at Sato is just flying.
Guys, you know that for Takuma Sato, this is his first trip here, but he almost didn't make it from Des Moines Airport to the racetrack. When he went to get his rental car, he pulled out his Japanese license. The guy behind the counter said, I've never seen one of these. I'm going to have to call the home office. 45 minutes later, he got his rental car. Wow. Who was right behind him? Me. Lindy?
Kevin Kalkoven, owner of KV Racing Technologies. I just came up to you and you started biting your nails.
Well, Takia's having the race of his life here. And after the bad luck we had on the first lap, the team is doing just a great job. And my heart may start beating again at the end of the race.
Watching him, it's hard to believe this is his first time here. What are you all telling him?
Just keep calm, keep doing what he's doing. He's a real professional. We videotaped a lot of activities from the previous races and practice and showed it to him, and he's learned clearly.
Kevin, thank you. We'll let you get back to it. And Bob, Tony Kanaan has already lapped Danica Patrick.
Yes, he lapped Danica and Weldon and put him a lap down on board with Danica. She's back in the 12th spot. This is Scott Dixon.
Yeah, back in the 7th spot. So,
yeah, he's dropped a lot. Listen to him lift.
Well, and that's a downshift. And you saw Marco Andretti got loose and how quickly he backed up. So if the handling goes off, you go down in a hurry.
Well, guys, consider this fact as well. We're getting to the pit stop window, so you've burned off a lot of that ethanol fuel. And at 7 pounds per gallon, that can really change the handling characteristics of these cars. Also, check the wind direction, and it's gone from coming out of the due south, out of the northeast now. So the wind is a little different. That's changed the handling characteristics. Robbie Floyd.
Kevin Kalkoven had just said they were telling him to take it easy. And I was almost going to say that we might see our first green flag pit stops for the leaders, but not now.
No, and then we're going to see everybody's going to come in right now, and they'll be good to go to the end.
That is such a shame. Sato had a great run going, running in 5th position.
That is
running
tough.
in 3rd position, I beg your pardon. Pretty big hit on the right side of the car.
Yeah. You know, there, and we just, Lindy just had a great conversation with Kevin.
We heard about the wind changing. That makes it, when you have people like Scott Dixon all of a sudden backing up through the field, Marco Andretti having trouble, the cars were changing a lot, and he doesn't have that kind of experience on a short oval when it starts to change.
And let's not forget about tire wear. You know, you get to the end of the life cycle of the tires. There's probably not as much grip overall, and you may lose a little bit of grip from that right rear, and that loosens the cars up.
Yep.
But there was traffic involved. He ran up behind Alex Lloyd. Okay.
And just where Sarah Fisher did that. Identical. I mean, in terms of how he went up the track, but took the air off the front of his car and up the track it went.
Okay, so it wasn't handling. It was just being in a place where the air gets taken off. And as you said, carbon copy almost hit the same marks
of Sarah
on the wall.
We hate to see that, huh? Gosh.
Yeah. And it's, Robbie, unless you and I have been there, when you get into that wash behind another car, when someone crosses in front of you, it is just like someone picks up the front of the car. It takes all that air off the front wings, and it just won't turn.
Yeah, and it gets really light. All of a sudden, you can turn that wheel left or right. It gets that light of a sensation and washes up. And he had momentum coming in there as well.
Okay, well, here we go. Track position could be key. Everyone's going to pit under caution. You'll be good to go to the end. This will be the last stop.
So you want to hit your marks. This is it to get in and out.
Okay, we got a full fill here.
PK should be the first to pull out here. He's the first to hit his marks on the right front.
So Dario's away first. It looks like Castro Neves picked up a bunch of spots.
Look at all the jockeying as they go out there.
+2 for Castro Neves, up to P2. Nice. But as you pointed out there astutely, Bob, not what Tony Kanaan wanted. He's going to be thinking,
and we haven't
one stop that really counts.
And we haven't talked about Elio ever since that one pit stop where he came out and Cindric told him to stay low. We haven't really seen or talked about him to this point. Now he is in P2.
Let's watch Ryan Hunter-Reay come in here.
His team,
he locked it up.
Oh, look out. Oh, that could have been bad.
You and I look at the exact same thing and go with the, when you see that right front tire changer with his legs out there.
His ankles sitting out like that.
And you can see Ryan just got rear lockup, rear bias lockup, and just kind of points the car in. Here it is. There it is. Wow.
And well, you could feel, he could, it was almost like, where'd my tire go? But you can feel it. You can't look over your shoulder. You can feel when a car's getting that tight on pit lane.
Franchitti is your leader. Castro Neves now running second, and TK is third at the Iowa Corn Indy 250 presented by Pioneer. Happy Father's Day to everyone. A lot of fathers and sons and fathers and daughters here at the Iowa Speedway today, celebrating Father's Day 2010. The fastest lap of the race so far, our eyes-on fastest lap, has been turned in by Dario Franchitti with a speed of 179.108. It happened on lap number 21. And there's an interesting statistic. 66% of the time you're turning here at Iowa. Let's find out what the deal is with Scott Dixon, who was dropping back.
Drop back, Mikey. What is the problem with the car, or what are you talking to with Scott?
You know, so you want to be you want to be invincible, but we aren't. Front tires started to give up a little bit toward the end, and Scott just decided, you know what, I want to finish the race, and I want to finish at the front. We were on sweet sequence to come in the pit, so he knew he was going to have fresh tires. We made a couple of small changes on the car, and we'll see how we go to the end here.
You were also talking to him about some adjustments in the cockpit as well, trying to remind him. I mean, he's been a racer for a long time. You still have to put those thoughts in his head.
Well, I think racers are intense guys, and girls for that matter, and he uses the controls better than probably anybody we've ever been around, so he fiddles with them. We just keep reminding him.
You comfortable right now? I'm looking on the pylon, 6th place right now. You comfortable you can get back up there in front?
Well, I mean, this is a tough place to pass. Let's face it. These guys go fast around a 7/8 mile oval, but we think our cars are good for the second half of the run. You saw what Dario could do here, so we'll be all right.
Thanks a lot, Mike. Both Target Chip Ganassi cars looking strong here today, guys.
Scott will restart in 6th position. His teammate Dario will be the leader. You know, Iowa Speedway is a relatively new track, and they did a lot of things right here, including a very wide pit lane that allows good exit.
Yeah, look at it. You're going to see them 4 abreast as they're fighting to get to the line, which is right around the corner. Look at 1, 2, 3, 4 with the inside lane still. And there is the timing line right there where the Sunoco is on the yellow cone. So fantastic stuff. Look at the onboards of where it is. So it's not just... Look at that. So there's plenty of space, though. Sometimes when you see guys challenge each other, they don't have anywhere to go. They end up going into the walls.
Yep.
Hey, guys, we were talking to Brian Barnhart before the start of the race because we noticed how wide this pit lane is, and he said, to his estimation, this is the widest pit lane that the IndyCar, the IZ IndyCar Series gets to operate on. He said one of the problems, though, is you see the outside lane and you get lulled into thinking that you can go all the way out there. We saw that early in the race. We've been treated to these peak tread cam. Let me show you the world's smallest HD camera. Not this whole puck, this hockey puck thing. That's what protects the camera. See that little area right there? That's the HD camera. How'd you like to have one of those, Jan Beekes? They bury it inside the racetrack, and the only thing that is available to go up over the tire is about 1/4 of an inch, a rise. It's amazing technology, and we've been treated to it all day.
It is,
from that
Jack.
tread cam.
Yes, that's a great innovation. And remember that our own Terry Lingner and Jamie Fishman, who brought the camera up to show us as well, that started way back in 1991, back in the Thunder Series.
That's
you know
right.
that well, Bob, from ESPN. So that has now developed to the HD level.
It's quite a deal. Lindy.
I have Takuma Sato, and Takuma, you haven't really done many ovals, have never even been here. Would you say what happened out there came down to experience?
Could be. I tried to overtaking the lap to go, and they were racing 2 cars, and one car just topped it inside me. I lost a big chunk of the airflow, and then I ran wide and into the walls. Extremely disappointed. You know, feel really sorry for the team. Done a fantastic job over the weekend, and every piece of we made some change and you know, tried to get good car, and I was in a good mood, and you know, taking some people, and it was good week up until then.
Well, we heard the team tell you afterwards, still such a great job. That must be good to hear, though.
It's extremely shame and extremely disappointed, but I take account this is character building, and try to get experience, and I'll try next time.
Takuma, thank you.
Thank you.
The Formula One veteran Takuma Sato drops out of the race, running 3rd with a crash. And we're getting ready to go back to green here. Here are the Team Penske drivers and where they are running. Castro Neves is 2nd, Power 5th, and Briscoe is in 7th position. We've seen this picture before. They're just working on their cars and probably will be up front battling for the lead before too much longer.
Danica wants to get her lap back, but that didn't quite work out.
And Dixon was way aggressive at the start. We see him up on the top side there of the Penske car.
That's a drive-through penalty for Ryan Hunter-Reay. If you make contact with any pit equipment, we saw that earlier with someone on De Silvestro, they may give you a drive-through, and they've chosen to do so.
Tough break for him, too, because he was having an excellent race.
Yeah, he had a podium race car, guys. Yep. And well, that little miscue.
He got a little bit, like I said, a little rear lockup and caught that tire. And whoa! Hey, remember he said, you know, payback.
Yep. Yep. What goes around comes around.
I think that was his exact quote. Yeah.
So you mean he just scared her as much as he shocked us up here?
Let's give a shout out to E.J. Viso, also, who's having a very good race, running right there in front of Danica Patrick. He is in 4th spot.
He's picking right up where his teammate Takuma Sato left off.
Yep.
And it sure would be great to see the KB guys have a...
And look at this.
Look who's about to take the lead. Elio Castro Neves takes the lead. Wow.
Well, you want to talk about tuning your race car for the end of the race, and when it matters, there's a guy that's always there at the end, isn't it?
He came from nowhere.
And remember how solid both the Ganassi cars were early on. So for him to do that shows they've tuned that car to put it in a pretty happy balance for the time being.
Yep. Now remember, in Texas with 3 Penske cars, Elio went a different way than the other 2. He didn't do well. It looks as though today he went the other way with more downforce. The other 2 went lighter, and today it's going to pay for Castro Neves.
Robbie Buell, you talked about wanting the car to be working properly at the end of the race. That's what Dario Franchitti and his crew did during that pit stop. They changed it and made an air pressure adjustment that said it might not work in the first half of the fuel load. It said it will give you what you need, though, for the end of the race. And here goes Franchitti saying that Elio Castro Neves, no, not on this short track. I'm undefeated there. And TK says, I want a piece of this action now, too.
Elio left the door open as he, look at this.
Wait, that's not good. He just all of a sudden went straight backwards.
Was he forced to the bottom?
Something's wrong.
No, that's something wrong. I was going to say, it looked like for a second he was forced to the bottom and dumped the throttle, but this is, looks like
that's a mechanical issue.
He's looking down at his gear shift level. It looked like there's something mechanical he's looked to be trying to.
We don't often see that, you know, a mechanical failure.
Yeah, you can see him looking down with his helmet there a little bit.
What a tough break for Frank Peter. He was the season-high lap leader coming into this race.
And he's got to coast all the way down pit lane here.
You lose 2 laps if you stop under green at full speed. So, obviously. Oh, and it's still running. So, Robbie, that would. Yeah, that's drive line.
Yeah, guys, they've gotten the gear cluster out. So, obviously, there's something in the rear end that's given up.
That's, wow, a shame.
Well, now it is.
Elio back on top.
Yeah, Castro Neves, Kanan, and Viso running 1, 2, 3.
And the great news there was when he lost drive, he didn't have someone right behind him. We look back at Indy 500, we've talked about how the closing rate, in this particular case, it's not always fuel. There could always be some other circumstance that all of a sudden makes your car slow dramatically.
No,
everybody got by.
A great point, the fact that he was down low and there wasn't anybody, 6 inches off his gearbox. They were up in the higher groove. Absolutely.
You heard?
Dario and Kanan were the only drivers who has completed every lap of the season. But Dario is out of the race.
In third position is being awfully quiet over his radio, but Kevin Kalkoven and Jimmy Vasser just told him the main thing, stay out of those marbles, EJ. That's what got Takuma. And Bob, that's also what got Sarah Fisher in that exact same spot.
There's Jimmy Vasser looking on to his driver, EJ Viso, running in third position. Just a few car lengths behind Tony Kanaan, who is right behind Elio Castroneves, the leader of this race. Stay with us for more of the Iowa Corn Indy 250 presented by Pioneer from Iowa Speedway. We have heard several drivers talk about how they enjoy watching the Tour de France and are big fans of Lance Armstrong, including Tony Kanaan and Elio and Scott Dixon.
I remember Tony Kanaan saying, hey, there was one time I rode 100 miles and it really kicked my butt. And he said those guys are running up to close to 200 miles, a day. It is a phenomenal mental place that those guys go to. And on those uphill climbs for the Tour de France, I mean, just mind-blowing.
There you see first, second, and third.
And at this point, I think they're pretty happy staying in order right here. Let's burn off another 15 laps or so, stick in that order, and then as you come around to lap traffic, that's when you need to get busy. But right now, I think they're just going to sort themselves out till they get to that traffic.
Interesting in this group, though, Bob, is that when you have Dixon right behind him is Power, and we had at one stage looked like Power was out of it, but just like Castroneves, they have got him tuned up, and now we get towards the end, he's picking up pace.
And there are only 33 laps to go, and those will go by very, very quickly.
And it's going to get interesting here probably in about another 3 laps when we get to some of the slower traffic. And Elio will be the first to do that. So that will be interesting to see what kind of car he has, Jan, with regards to downforce and the traffic.
We have set a new record for lead changes here in Iowa. The old record was 13, set back in 2007. Today we have had 15 to this point. Robbie Floyd.
Well, the streak has been broken for Dario Franchitti. The 2 times he was at this track, he won. But it looks like the transmission, the gearbox is stuck in between gears. So instead of just guessing, they're going to pull out all the gears and replace them with new ones. Just try and salvage points for this Eyes on IndyCar series, which he was the leader coming into this race.
Yeah, and right now he is third in points as Will Power has taken back the points lead. But, of course, we've got several laps to go. Power, Dixon, and Castroneves are the top 3 in points as they run. Ryan Hunter-Reay lost a lap. And now we're on board with Dan Weldon.
Oh, here's what you're talking about, Robbie. The leaders are in traffic.
Oh, my.
Here comes Kanaan on the low side.
Here it is, 3 wide. That's Marco up on the high side.
Kanaan cannot do it. And look at Viso as he goes from the low lane to the high lane.
And part of that is anytime you get forced down low, again, we talked about earlier, when you're down there, you got to turn the car more with the wheel. And if it doesn't stay there, you got to get out of the gas or you're going to wash up the racetrack.
Well, that's the same thing that happened to his teammates at Kumasato, but he saved it. Power right on top of Dixon.
And there is Power back in the game.
And Briscoe is right behind him.
Well, you said we'll find out what kind of car Castroneves has, and he's got a good one. He was not fazed by that traffic, and Tony Kanaan had trouble.
Elio won earlier this year, of course, at Barber Motorsports Park in Alabama. TK, not yet a winner.
And 25 to go. Now is the time. Don't just lay back there. Now is the time.
The laps are winding down here at Iowa Speedway for the finish. Stay with us. We've got a great race going on here and very few laps to go. Iowa Speedway's closest finishes. Look at that margin of victory in 2007 and in 2008. We're set up for another exciting finish, it would appear, as Tony Kanaan tries to chase down the leader, Elio Castroneves. Jack?
Jan and Robbie Buell talked about wanting to have enough overtake assist for the last few laps. But what's really interesting is Elio Castroneves was down by 2 compared to Tony Kanaan. As we ride on board in second place with Kanaan, he is trying to chase down Elio Castroneves and is now narrowed the margin so they both have, well, now he only has 13 to Elio Castroneves is 10. Basically what they can do is beyond the button the rest of the way. And they're going to have to use it to try and use it during the pit process in this lap traffic. That's where I see it's been most effective. And that's the way that Ryan Briscoe just got around his teammate, Will Power, with the OT.
4th, 5th, and 6th here. Scott Dixon, Briscoe, Power. Also there is Marco Andretti, but again, he is 5 laps down in 15th position. Marco ran well in the early going, and look at this. Kanaan was about
He's got a run.
Here he comes.
Yeah.
He was about 7/10 of a second behind just a moment ago. And look at this. He takes the lead.
He's on the overtake, guys. He used it just the way you need to.
Yep.
10 laps to go, and Tony Kanaan has taken the lead.
And there's traffic up in front of TK.
So keep in mind, Tony Kanaan can use the overtake assist for the remaining 10 laps. It will give him 10 seconds of extra horsepower for turning the racetrack in 17 seconds. You do the math.
And Ryan Briscoe and Scott Dixon are battling for position. Briscoe moves to 4th.
And remember where Briscoe was in the first stint, guys?
Yeah.
He was going backwards. So you never give up. You never say die.
Here comes Power, taking also a position from Dixon.
Yep, Dixon slides back to 6th. Boy, the points are being jumbled in this race, aren't they? Man.
And our monitors up here that measure the overtakes just keep getting lit up with green hits.
And he has moved ahead of Castroneves by more than a second. TK is determined to turn things around here at Iowa, where he has crashed out of every single race he has been in.
Well, as he just drove down into turn 1 there, Tom Anderson, when I saw him right before I came up for the race, he says, Tony's car is fantastic as he rolls down into 1. He can be anywhere on that racetrack, and there's Tom Anderson right there who calls the strategy for Tony Kanaan.
4.5 laps to go for TK. He's finished in the top 10 in every race this year except Indianapolis, where he was 11th, but his record here at Iowa has been plain miserable. Now less than 4 laps to go.
That lap before, he ran 4 tenths faster than did Elio.
Rafael Matos there in the number 2 car. He's running 14th as now TK crosses the line with 3 more laps to go.
That is flexing some muscle. Being patient, saving it till the end, and for Michael Andretti and his whole team, if he does bring this home, this could be a big shift of momentum. They've been looking for this for a long time.
Tony Kanon's been looking for this for a long time.
Won at Richmond in 2008, 34 races ago, and he'll come down and get the white flag. 1 more lap to go for Tony Kanaan. He has gone from the turn 2 wall. The 3 races that he has been here crashed out, but not today. He's going to victory lane. Tony Kanaan wins the Iowa Corn Indy 250 presented by Pioneer.
Fantastic.
E.J. Viso winds up in 3rd position. Briscoe and Power. Penske teammates are 4th and 5th, and then comes Scott Dixon. Lindy, let's talk to Michael.
Michael, this must be such a weight off Tony's shoulders.
Big time. Off of all of our shoulders, you know. To break the string of the red cars on the ovals is huge. And, you know, I'm so happy for the whole 7-Eleven crew. And, you know, it was great. Drove a beautiful race.
And especially with Tony at Iowa because he has not had good luck here.
Yeah, he's always had a problem with turn 2, but he's finally got it figured out, I think. So.
Good Father's Day for you, huh? Not so bad.
That's right. No, it's great.
Thanks Michael.
Thanks.
And Andretti now tied with Chip Ganassi with 2 wins apiece here at Iowa as they get Tony Kanaan's car positioned into victory lane. Elio Castroneves finishes 2nd, a little more than 4 seconds behind. We've got about a half hour to fill for you, and we'll talk to as many drivers as we possibly can. And, of course, we'll be talking to TK, who wins here at Iowa today. Stay with us for more coverage of the Eyes on IndyCar series on Versus.
Don't miss any of the heart-pounding action when IndyCar returns to Versus from the Fast Track of Edmonton. Sunday, July 25th at 5.
The Iowa fans who defied the forecast had a great start, and everyone looked great in turn 1 and turn 2. Unfortunately, not the case in turn 3. Justin Wilson all on his own. The car steps out, and poor Mario Moraes, a heavy hit into the safer barrier. Both were okay. Lap 34, Will Power, who had been powerful at the beginning of the race, started to run into some handling difficulties. Marco Andretti flies on by. It made for a tough early afternoon for Power. Lap 44, not the case for Marco Andretti, who thought he was racing. Then his handling started to go off as Dario Franchitti took the point, but then on pit road. So critical how you get your pit stops done and get out. It's 3 wide. Castroneves tries to thread the needle and makes the contact with Dixon. His steering wheel wasn't straight, but he persevered. Takuma Sato was persevering until aerodynamic watch. Look out, the car won't turn. Powie into the wall after running in 3rd spot for KV Racing. He said, a good lesson learned. Elio Castroneves on the button and with speed, but with some help, unfortunately, from an ailing Dario Franchitti gearbox, took the lead. But Tony Kanaan could answer because he saved his overtake assist, got to the low side, and when Tony Kanaan gets by Castroneves, see ya, he had saved the muscle for the end of the race, and he gets the monkey off his back after consecutive crashes here, takes it to victory lane.
By 4.2 seconds as we take a look at the finish here. It's E.J. Viso's best career finish. Vitor Meira had his 2nd consecutive top 10. Hunter Ray finishes 8th or better on the ovals this year. Danica, her 3rd consecutive top 10 finish. And Graham Rahal equaled his best finish of the season. There you can see some of the others. Dan Weldon, the former winner here, got 11th. And Takuma Sato, as Jan documented, crashed out of the race, and so did many of the others listed here. All right, down to Lindy, who's with Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Ryan just finishing up a quick check with Michael Andretti. And Brian Hunter-Reay, we weren't even sure we were going to see you here this week, and here you are, 8th place.
I know, it's unreal. I was thinking that same thing halfway through the race. I'm thinking, man, I might not have been here this year, or this for this race, and here we are running 3rd. But first of all, happy Father's Day to Dad, and we had a great race going for the Ethanol USA Team Izod car. It was awesome. That's what oval racing is supposed to be. You know, you're driving, you're lifting, you're having to really work the wheel and work the pedals, and it was physical. It was a lot of fun. I'm so happy for Tony. I mean, that was so close. You make a mistake by a foot, as I did in the pit lane, hit his tire, and we got black flagged. I'm glad that he was able to recover from it, but we had to come in under green, so that threw our race away. But man, it's so much fun racing these Andretti Autosport cars. You know?
With that incident in the pits, do you feel like you really dodged one for you and him? I know you guys are close friends.
It's always close in the pits. I mean, people don't realize how close it is. It is a matter of inches everywhere. So you're diving in at 60 miles an hour and trying to get it in between, you know, 4 bodies sitting there, and it's really tough. But I was really working on my ends this weekend, and we were really trying to get them better, and I just came in a little too hot. But as I said, I'm glad Tony recovered from it. Congratulations to 7-Eleven and the whole crew. We ran well for Ethanol this weekend. We showed that we're fighters. We'll always be up front. We'll always be there fighting. And hey, I just hope I get to go to Watkins Glen and go back to a track where I've won at before.
So as of this, you don't know yet?
No, I have no idea. I probably won't know till Wednesday. They'll tell me, hey, go book a plane ticket. Wow. So it'll probably be last minute, but you know, I'll be happy to show up and race with these guys again, because I'm having a really good time here. Unfortunately, we were almost right there with Tony today.
And we love watching you, Ryan. Thank you very much. Ryan Hunter-Reay with an 8th place finish.
And the hammer, Graham Rahal, comes up. I know I hit you with it, what, 17th to 9th. You pleased with that result?
Yeah, I think it was a great day for the Dads guys. I mean, you know, we kind of went front to back. We had some radio issues. That's why we got off sequence. We didn't purposely mean to do that, but we got off, and we recovered really well. I mean, the car was very fast all day. I used the high line pretty well all day, and it was really good. Got by a lot of guys. I should have gotten by Hunter-Reay there at the end, but just didn't have enough laps.
What about this team? It's the 3rd different team we've seen you in the car. We were joking. You're going to be in 3 different positions in the overall at the end of the year. Are we going to see you at Watkins Glen in the Dad's car or one of the other dry and round bull machines?
I hope so. I hope so. I really do. No, I've enjoyed my time here, and Dennis, Robbie, and the entire organization, the guys have been great and very helpful. And obviously we've gone through our ups and downs this weekend. Luckily we ended on a high, but you know, I hope that there's many more to come from here. But as of right now, this is the only one I've heard about.
Well, this is the last oval for him for now. Hopefully we'll see Graham Rahal at the next stop at Watkins Glen. Jackaroo.
For the previous 3 years, Tony Kanaan found himself in a DNF situation. But this year, as he said in Victory Lane, records are made to be broken. Things are made to be changed. Let's take a look at this pit stop. We've seen it so many times. Helio Castroneves connecting there with Scott Dixon. But take a look at the green car directly in front. Look how close Tony Kanaan avoids being punted by Helio Castroneves. I think that's what TK meant when the last 3 years, that's ancient history. Now he wishes his son Leo a very happy Father's Day with his first victory, guys, since Leo was born.
Yeah, it was a good race, and Robbie, you mentioned it before the race started, how it's a short track, but it races like a super speedway, and it did.
And it was great racing, and we heard from Ryan Hunter-Reay. He said, the drivers love this. You have to work the adjustments in the car. You got to get on and off the gas. You're always adjusting your wheels, so it's really fun for these drivers. And how about TK? I mean, you know, they're at the end of the race, you know, when there's about 5 laps to go, you know, somebody's saying in my ear, well, boy, he's had some bad luck here. I just kept my mouth shut because I didn't want to say anything until that checkered flag dropped.
That's because you picked him, which is a very nice pick. But down the road here, think about the schedule. The road course is coming up. Street course is a great opportunity for teams other than Andretti Autosport and Target Chip Ganassi Racing to make points, and the points are wide open.
Yeah, they sure are. And of course, then we will have 4 consecutive ovals to end the season. But for today, it was a record-setting day in terms of lead changes as Tony Kanaan took the 7-Eleven car to victory. Several others having their best finish of the season here at Iowa Speedway. Now it's on to the road courses, and we will be back with you on July the 25th, but it's always great to come to Iowa Speedway. Great hospitality. Rusty Wallace, of course, helped build this track, and they built a great track for the IZOD IndyCar Series. Well, coming up next, the Tour de France in the Pyrenees. IndyCar returns to Versus Sunday, July 25th at 5 o'clock Eastern for the Edmonton Indy. IZOD, the official apparel sponsor of the IndyCar Series, available at Macy's. For more information on the IZOD IndyCar Series, log on to Versus.com. Congratulations to Tony Kanaan, winner of the Iowa Corn Indy 250, presented by Pioneer. For Jan Beekes, Robbie Buell, Jack Arute, Robbie Floyd, and Lindy Thaxton, I'm Bob